Why am I doing this to myself? Welcome to a linear list of all 240 weapons in the game. That might be plus or minus a few because I've combined a few entries. With Borderlands 3 coming to a close and 4 on the horizon, I thought I'd use my 8,000 or so hours of theory crafting, mathing, playing, speedrunning, etc. to create this list. So before we start, I do have a few obligatory disclaimers, as every video like this has. Borderlands 3 is a complicated game. There's a lot of maths and downright messy, unexplained mechanics at play, and there's a near infinite number of playstyles, build choices, and activities that each person might consider a different level of importance, leaving the answer to a lot of comparisons being, it depends. I have tried my absolute damnedest to be fair to every single weapon on this list, and do note that even weapons in the 200s are capable of folding this game over backwards. Just because your favourite weapon is 193rd does not mean I'm calling it shit. It just offers less than the competition. The floor for success in this game is very low. It's a playground. Everything is good to an extent, and that's why I'm avoiding tiers like B tier, A tier, S tier, etc. My criteria is mostly based on how much damage the weapon is capable of contributing to your build compared to alternatives. Note the wording on that. It's damage application, effectiveness at clearing endgame content by speed and effectiveness. If I have to wait a whole week for my gun to do something, I'm docking points for that. Also, a weapon's ability across multiple characters. If it's only good on one character but shit on the other three, I'm holding that against it. And also, not everything that I say about a weapon during this video is contributing to where I rank it. I may mention a weapon's difficulty to use or ease of obtaining, but that's not a criteria I use to rank it. I'm just throwing in a couple of extra notes that may be of interest. Also, please don't think that the gameplay chosen is what I believe to be the extent of the weapon's abilities. Believe it or not, I did not record all thousands of hours of gameplay and testing to come to this list. Most gameplay was recorded quickly on a variety of builds, characters, and most importantly, locations for the sake of diversity. So you're not sparing at Sponge Boss's lawn for the next so many hours that this video takes. This was a creative choice that I decided early on in recording, so no chance to go back. With that intro out of the way, let's go. Starting off with the toy box weapons on the Vault Hero, they are just not being counted. I didn't test them, screw them. The Girth Blaster and the Vault Hero are at the bottom, and the Hydrator would be like 217th or something. Number 240, the Creeping Death. An absolute failure of a weapon. You know, this, I think, is the one single weapon on this entire list that I straight up struggled to make progress with. Literally, that's how good most Legendaries are, and that this was the standout for every reason. It received two 200% buffs to its damage, and yet it's still this far down the list. Well, it's at the bottom, isn't it? The idea is you shoot a bunch of shots at your target, and then when you reload chuck at the target, all the missed shots then home in for a whopping 0 damage. I mean, it's not 0, but it may as well be. Even as a normal chuck weapon, shoot, throw, it's just worse than purples, and I even tested white rarity Tedials will actually outperform this. Number 239, the TNTina. The latest addition in Borderlands 3's long lineup of legendaries, and it's no better for it. This is a weapon you can shoot at somebody and the bullets will literally bounce off of them. In the off chance the target hasn't simply walked out of the way of the following explosion, it can do some damage, but this was more of a danger to myself than enemies, and it's just disappointing. Number 238, the Predatory Lending. You know what's a brilliant idea? Take a weapon class that's already low on damage, make a weapon idea around having functionally infinite ammo, so make sure the damage is lower to compensate for that. Oh, and make it technically the very first legendary in the game that you can farm, so lower the damage even more to compensate for that. Even if you do get this gun at the start of the game, you'll struggle to sustain it, and the damage will not be worth it. Number 237, the Mechanic. Actually makes vehicles do acceptable damage versus other vehicles in Mayhem 10. It doesn't help the hit points problem though, so you'll still be made of wet tissue paper, but you know, you can kill things with cars. It's used in geared story speedruns for the vehicle sections, and that's about the extent of its usability. Number 236, the Binary Operator. One of the few weapons where it matters when you get this. If you get it in playthrough or any time in low to zero Mayhem, it rocks. You're a walking one-shot machine. If, however, you try using it in Mayhem 10, there is just nothing you can do. Even with, like, maxed out VM Zane, you might be able to kill a Pop Skag or a Mallow Trooper or something. Because also, yeah, bonus elements don't count or anything. Yeah, it just doesn't really work in the game. Number 235, the Alchemist. Do you want your gun to do more damage to you than the enemies? Then you've come to the right place. You can use a transformer and the self-damage won't touch you, and it will even technically heal you, allowing you to use the weapon freely. It's still terrible, it doesn't do damage. Number 234, the Boring Gun. The first of the tougher weapons to rank. The damage isn't too... it's pretty terrible, but it's not terrible. It's there, but the slow shots along the ground, and there's a few of the ground target only weapons, and this is just like the worst of the lot. It's not good. Number 233, the Polyamorous. A gun forgotten by time, and apparently the devs as well. This weapon is held back by awful damage. But hey, I hear you ask, won't it be good for playthroughs at least, especially with this chaining? Well, sure, it might be, if only it didn't drop at only level 72. You cannot get this at an earlier level. And it's got no damage. Number 232, the Quatomizer. You know how they made a rocket launcher based around the attacks and phase rotation of a major story boss, and then just move the drop to a random named rack? I remember. Also, the gun's like weak or something. Don't use it. It does less damage than many pistols and SMGs. Number 231, the Killer the Wisp. Fires large electric orbs that chain to enemies. Oh, how I wanted you to be good. It was, like, fine in Mayhem 3. But only fine. And it never got a 2.0 buff, a real shame. Number 230, the Tribolt. The first of many cases of, this game has too many legendaries, like what do you even do? Slow fire rate, can't stack stickies for a sticky molt. It's got a few buffs in its lifespan, but it doesn't save it. Number 229, the Hand of Glory. Clay really has you go through the whole trouble of an entire prison break to get somebody out, get his key, all for a gun that you sell right in front of him. Immediately. Number 228, the Ninefold. This thing doesn't even sound like a gun. 3-round bursts, 3 bursts a mag. I wouldn't trust to use this gun as a taser. Number 227, the Occultist. A really cool weapon with fancy projectiles, tragically forgotten about, and with its painfully slow projectiles, it doesn't exactly hurry to present its case. This is where weapons begin to start showing promise in the damage department, because at least on Mo's you can take out the trash with it. It's something. Number 226, the Breeder. This weapon is actually technically the same as the Echo, but they're different enough that I've split them up. It's complicated, but anyway, this is the worst of the two. Stickies propel out bonus projectiles around the original target, mostly missing, but still requiring everyone else to be close, and there's very little overlap in the splash radius. It's just not very good. Number 225, the Destructo Spinner. A Maliwan weapon that actually incorporates both elements at the same time. Surprised they didn't do this more often, to be honest. The projectile cycles between both elements, so the changing mode doesn't accomplish anything. It is, however, a staple of modern legendary design. Make a fancy effect, and then make the projectile travel barely faster than a brisk walk, so you can witness it in all its hard to use and feels like shit glory. Number 224, the Mind Killer. The first of many legendary shockwaves. This one doesn't have an element and plays a sick beat on every shot. What is strange is that even though it lets you charge up, I don't think there's actually any benefit to doing so. I don't think there's a charge molt on this, so just spam away in semi-automatic. Number 223, the Satisfaction. Okay, I just do not understand this one. Like, explain to me what the purpose is. What do you do? Why do you exist? What is the creative expression behind the design and implementation of this item? Why is the weapon that's literally named Satisfaction the least satisfying thing in the game? Even the special effect is the generic one. You can't stack stickies up for a multiplier and they detonate on a short delay instead. 222, the Wagon Wheel. A cool weapon back in ye olden days of Mayhem 4 and the bonus element projectiles, it never truly recovered from that change, unfortunately. Number 221, the Clockwork Reds. Okay, this is a weapon that can go literally anywhere in this list. Do you play co-op or flak? Then congrats, it's useful, especially on flak when there's pretty much no reason to ever unequip it. How many times have you been down as well as your pet? Res. Your pet dying and you don't want to stand over it and hold E? Res. Co-partner dying? Res. If the original answer to the question, however, was no, then this weapon serves no purpose. Number 220, the Bearcat. Gearbox made a good decision in realizing they had too many legendaries, so they combined the Bearcat and the Blaster to form one gun, which had a community highlight for, 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour. In announcing the removal of the bonus element projectile glitch, they used the Bearcat as the example, to which a collective "Bearcat does what?" echoed throughout the community. It spawns grenades on hits, projectiles are slow, the range is low, and the damage is also low. 219, the Super Ball, a cutesy reference weapon that sacrifices all usability to stick to its gimmick, and honestly, respect for that. It does do a fair amount of damage to compensate for this, but beyond that, it just kinda sucks to use. Number 218, the Tidal Wave. This gun dodges buffs like the enemies dodge these slow projectiles on the widest possible spread pattern. You could park a bus lengthways in front of it and still miss some of the pellets. Like, how did TK's Wave catch a huge buff but not this? Did Gearbox think they were the same weapon? Also, the Tidal Wave can't get elements like the TK's can. Number 217, the Long Musket. A TDR doomed to do no chuck damage. Literally, it doesn't do chuck damage. The flame is okay at best with minimal range and poor skill synergy. It's not splash, it can't indiscriminate, it doesn't ramp its damage up like other beam-ish weapons. It's here. Number 216, the Masterwork Crossbow. This gun tried to replace the longbow, and it failed to replace the longbow. It hits hard, genuinely, but terrible accuracy, more bullet drop, terrible range, which together puts you in much closer range to the enemies, forcing you to deal with more aim punch and knockback, makes it hard to land that all-important shot. Number 215, the Woodblocker. Want to know what's a sad story? The Woodblocker. It spent its whole youth being bullied by everyone, and when Gearbox finally came around to give it a hand, it was great, rocking and walked the streets with newfound confidence, only for Gearbox to take it all away again and kick it back down. In a bug, it lost its crit damage buff and all its confidence with it. Unless you're on PlayStation 4 for some reason, and then it's still good. Like, why is this the thing? Why does your platform matter? It's not the first time this will happen in this list, but yeah, the Woodblocker is better on PS4 than any other platform. Number 214, the Warlord. I think Gearbox tried to make a proper light machine gun type weapon. A force big mag, ammo saving passive, but the sound of it just isn't that heavy at all, and the DPS fails to impress. And given it doesn't do anything else, an easy skip. Number 213, embrace the pain / pain is power. This gun would be good. Genuinely, the damage is decent once it's spooled up, if it didn't immediately incinerate the user in the process. I guess it's a budget second wind weapon or something. Number 212, the Lead Splinter. You know what's a great idea? Make a weapon that sprinkles explosives around when you shoot the crit spot that explode on impact, but make them drop just far enough away that the splash radius does not hit the original target. 211, the Cloud Kill. Creates a cloud of corrosive smoke on hit, which is rather opaque and hard to see through. It's a great story item pick up for playthrough, especially if you're down on loot. It was even buffed too, although it does fall off after reaching endgame. 210, the Spade, a unique sticky shotgun that pierces through enemies. It is however limited to a maximum of 10 projectiles per shot, low on damage, tiny mag size, so it's hard to stack enough stickies up on a single target. And finding what the sticky mult is a nightmare due to how sticky math works in this game. It's literally a meme in the Theory Crafter community that sticky math is the punishment for poor behavior. Because trust us when we say, it does not work how we think it should. It starts dividing your gun damage down between sticky and pop, and it just gets really cursed. 209, the Devastator, the first of many Torg pistols. Wait, shit, already forgot about the Occultist. Anyway, the Devastator isn't much better anyway. It does boast a much wider splash radius than usual, so be careful with that. 208, the Duke, an explosive Jacob's pistol that ricochets stickies to other enemies on crit. Literally, what more could you want? What, for it to do actual damage? Don't be ridiculous. We don't do that here. 207, the Ripper. The Ripper is a weak dial SMG, but after you melee an enemy, they take 250% more damage from the Ripper's shots. This does make it quite awkward to use as you go from melee to enemy, punching each of them. Though a quick tip, if you jump in melee, you don't get the stabby lunge, which allows you to recover faster. 206, the Malek's Bane. You know the devs thought they cooked with this weapon. It's a sniper and a shotgun. And with the obscene ammo cost, you know they were trying to hold it back. Though I guess for its own safety rather than the safety of the target. It's buffed a bit now, but it's still quite poor, and why does it still eat like 3 ammo per shot in the shotgun mode? 205, the Hot Foot Teddy. I have tried. I have tried and tried and tried to like this weapon. It's a flamethrower that chains to multiple enemies. Like, that is so cool. Why does it have to suck? It's quite a high damage ramp up under sustained fire, but it's just not enough to pull it out of the mud. 204, the Ion Laser. This SMG does assault rifle damage. That's, I think, the only interesting thing I have to say about it. Like, the idea is kind of cool. You shoot the laser, and it ramps up. And when you stop firing, it unleashes that ramp up in the form of a bunch of explosive shots, like a shotgun blast, to finish off that enemy. Which is cool, but the ramp up takes way too long, so you're spending a long time on each target, and of course it's going to reset every time. 203, the Stauros Burn. So this is one of those weapons to have a chance at a bonus on each reload. The problem is that this is a COV weapon, and you cannot reload on command like other reload buff weapons. This makes the gun a very sad to use in its unbuffed state for the majority of your gameplay, because you can't pre-reload. You have to shoot out every magazine, just burning through shots and mags, waiting to hit the jackpot, just spin, spin, spin. And while it does have the health drain effect of other COV weapons, this one's actually balanced better and won't completely obliterate you, so that's good at least. 202, the Auto Aim. I don't know why this is a sniper rifle. It plays like a homing assault rifle, but with a vastly limited ammo supply and not the damage to compensate. And not being able to properly aim for a crit spot is not nice, as the bullets home in targets, but they don't know where the crit spot is half the time. So they just... You'll watch your bullet curve away from the crit spot into the torso. 201, the Westergun. This gun was just so likable. Like, everyone likes the Westergun. It's a splash mellow and SMG, first in a very long line, but it's got no charge time, an incredibly generous drop rate. Seriously, it's nearly 100%. Left behind by the sandbox balancing gods, it sounds strong knowing that those few who used it have fond memories. Number 200, the Triple A. The pistol variant of Kilovolt's 9V, this thing is devoid of creativity as it is damage. Though in fairness, it does kick out twice as much damage as the SMG variant, a solid 2 times 0 equals 0. 199, the Firefly. You can't take the sky... Wait, wrong pistol. The Firefly is an odd weapon. Like, why is it here? What do you even do that's supposed to make me go, yeah, I want to use that? It's got relatively high damage, but the projectiles take 3 to 5 business days to reach their target, then a further few more for the secondary projectiles to find somebody else. 198, the Love Drill. A legendary version of the DLC reward, and it's this. It returns ammo and crit like the 17 other Jacob's pistols that do the same. The actual unique element to this is a 40% chance to get a bonus shock element. Hooray. 197, the Mother 2. This thing is cool. It chucks the chucks summon a small orb that basically are a mini UFO. They fly around seeking enemies, shooting a laser from above. It's genuinely a really cool effect, though the drones do need to be a bit faster in their tracking, and the weapon can feel a bit clunky to use because of that. 196, the Frozen Devil. Overwatch references in my video game? The Frozen Devil works just like May's Ice Gun. You use the laser to freeze things, then swap to Ice Shard mode to deal massively increased critical hit damage. It's fun and genuinely quite strong. You are, however, stuck jumping through hoops from enemy to enemy that just slows you down too much. 195, the Bright Side. Another sick TDO gun. Like, seriously, TDO generally just got the good end of the stick when it came to legendary effects. This one does your standard chuck explode, but on the explosion it summons 4 drones that shoot your enemies. These things actually scale with your damage formula as well, but they're a bit slow, so just trying their best. 194, the Night Flyer. You know how Batman's like, I never kill anyone, and then he definitely kills people, and he'll just beat them to a bloody pulp, and there's no possible way that they're coming back from that? Yeah, this is the same. It's got high damage, but can't finish the job. However, in a game filled with bonus elements and stuff, it doesn't really suffer that restriction, so yeah, the enemy's dying. Oh, it's also full auto when airborne, so I hope you can aim while spamming jump. 193, the Sawbar. A weapon very reliant on a sweet spot, but it doesn't quite have the damage to compensate with how fine that sweet spot is. It will kind of fall flat against enemies that run at you, which are included in every faction. It does funky stuff with the razor though. 192, the Sellout. Fun when you get it in playthrough, annoying to listen to, but infinitely useful as a support tool for driver, elemental projector, and so on. It can go anywhere on this list depending on how much use you get out of it, and honestly I should have put it much further up. 191, the Polybius. Fun fact, this was the very first legendary I had dropped for me by an enemy. That is literally the most interesting thing I can say about this weapon. I like it, but it's okay to like mediocre things. 190, the Echo. The actual good side of the Echo Breeder combo. While you can't stack up a sticky multiplier, the shots will automatically explode multiple times each after a few seconds, dealing somewhat respectable damage. And this is one of the several weapons that will start pinging off towards other enemies, re-triggering the effect when using Zane's Eraser skill. 189, the Linoge. The Linoge, the original blender of health bars and blender of ammo capacity. If you want to use this weapon, only try it in ×3 guys, avoid 4 and 5, and tragically never received a 2.0 buff. Thankfully there are alternative weapons that are similar. It's decent early game, but falls off quite sharp late game. 188, the Nighthawking. The Nighthawking, the pride of Mayhem 3, back when the only thing that mattered was damage application and not actually doing damage itself. In a post-Mayhem 4 world, this weapon's special effect just ends up getting in the way. Like, what do you mean the damage is only more competitive at a certain time of day? I already struggle with mornings, I don't need my gun to struggle with mornings as well. 187, the Bitch. Consistent, easy to use, dependable-ish, rewards good aim. Yep, that's the Bitch. Same as it ever was. 186, the Amazing Grace. The very baseline variant of crits restore ammo, legendary Jacob's effect. And it does nothing else fancy. It's somewhat nice to use, the damage is exceptional, however it does lose the Jacob's ricochet and it can't get annoyance. 185, the Chandelier. The Recursion's loud and eccentric brother. While the Recursion was off focusing on its education, accomplishing things, having a career, the Chandelier was out partying all night and forgot everything. This weapon will either explode on impact or bounce once before exploding for a very unimpressive amount of damage for what's supposed to be a legend successor. 184, the Proprietary License. Low card damage is the only thing holding this gun back. Accurate, good handling, easy to use, and it's splash. It just doesn't hit hard enough. 13,000 card damage is nowhere near enough to what it should be. 183, the Robin's Call. I hate this weapon. Like, I genuinely dislike it. A Jacob's shotgun with a very overused repeated legendary Jacob's effect with a below average damage stat. Is it exceedingly ammo efficient? Yes. Do I care? No, I don't. Jacob's shotguns aren't exactly known for having long reloads and downtime. Not like this gun saves from that anyway, it's just gotta awkwardly pump every other shot. I'd rather just use a purple stagecoach over this rubbish. 182, the Barrage. Why doesn't this legendary do anything? This weapon is so uninteresting. The unique description for this weapon on Loot Lemon literally reads as, the Barrage fires standard bullets in a 3-round burst. Like, that's it. That's all it's got. It's got a high fire rate, short burst delay, so spam the trigger. 181, the Sleeping Giant. The slot machine gun. Will it be good? Will it be great? Or will it just be kind of trash? There's no on-screen indication if you get a good reload or not, so you just have to test every mag by firing it, just to see some of the bonuses that you get, and that kind of makes it a hassle to use. However, if you do have a build that can sustain a mag once you get a really good roll, it's genuinely a really good one to use that can compete with those much higher on the list. 180, the Jericho. Serves no purpose than to burn a hole in your pocket. Use this and watch your ammo capacity drop faster than the target's health bar. Unless you use it with a Eraser Zane, and then the Jericho lives up to which it got its name. 179, the Septimator Prime. Can we get a Firestorm? No, we've got Firestorm at home. Introducing a weaker, RNG-dependent, less ammo-efficient Firestorm in the Septimator Prime. It is Prime because, believe it or not, there is genuinely a weaker version of this weapon just called the Septimator. What's worse is that this is actually also just the worst legendary Blood-Off Sniper Rifle in the game. Low damage output for the ammo that it consumes. 178, the Tsunami. It's a real shame some weapons just aren't in the world loot pool, because you just never see them around. This is a cool weapon, the element situation is nothing to shout about, but the rate at which the diagonal line of projectiles fire out of the barrel are consistent enough to make the gun not feel like crap to use. It's very solid. 177, the Freeman. I wish we had more weapons that interacted with things like aiming and whatnot, because what do you mean we have a laser-guided missile launcher with the handling of an MX-5? It hits decently hard and is very spammable, and of course, it's fun on a Razor's Aim. 176, the Boomer. The Boomer is one of many weapons that make you realize, wow, this game has way too many legendaries in it. Like, I get it, you're an SMG that does splash damage. Cool, like, join the line. What else do you have? Nothing? Oh, okay. 175. The Dictator. Ah, the Dictator. The weapon of Mayhem 4. Everyone wanted one for bossing, mobbing, you name it. Eventually overthrown by the Monarch and forgotten to history. The Dictator's damage just hasn't kept up with the times, and it's still plagued by the downsides of the bipod attachment. 174. The Rebel Yell. It feels weird to put these next two above the Dictator, but that's the reality of it. They got buffed and the Dictator didn't. Rebel Yell is quite nice to use, accurate, good handling stats, fast bullets. Atlas as a whole has a great access to class mod passives as well, so you can safely ignore the tracker darts though. You know, the legendary effect of this weapon? Yeah, just ignore that, we don't need it. 173, the Carrier. The Carrier is very close to the Rebel Yell, and they could go either way. Though the Carrier's total damage is higher, but due to the bonus projectiles needing to take the scenic route first, it takes way longer to apply that damage. Personally, the Rebel Yell is my favourite of the two to use, but they could really go in any order. 172, the Thunderball Fists. Functionally unchanged from its Borderlands 2 counterpart, the Thunderball Fist fires a shock projectile that explodes again a few seconds later, but this time with a much bigger splash radius. The damage though is only okay for it to have delayed damage. 171, the Infinity. For a gun that can do infinite damage, it really doesn't do a whole lot of damage. A mediocre fire rate and an awkward bullet pattern limiting its range, this weapon doesn't really climb out of the gimmick tier. At least it has decent enough base damage, and it's great fun in arms race. 170, the Web Slinger. Okay, this is hilarious. So, this weapon deals splash damage when hitting things at very close range. Only at very close range. Which means, in order for it to deal splash, you need to put yourself inside the splash radius of the weapon, which will then immediately knock you out of range. This also allows you to do repeated knockback against yourself if you shoot at a wall by your feet, while using a low-level variant, of course. Now, just think about this. The gun called the Web Slinger, with a Spider-Man reference in the red text, lets you climb walls, and Gearbox swears that this is not an intentional reference. What do you mean that this was an accident? We just happened to be able to climb walls with the Spider-Man gun by chance. 169, the Skexel. Really solid weapon. Falls off a bit in later Mayhems and is limited on range, but the Skexel was always just the old reliable. Available in each of the primary damage elements, and farming for one is never a hassle either. Yeah, we like the Skexel. 168, the Companion. This is the reference pistol I was looking for earlier. You know, when I first found this gun and read its red text, I just so wanted it to be my favourite gun, but I just don't vibe with it. It's a Jacobs pistol with poor bullet speed, low accuracy, yet reliant on crits to do its thing. It's not that nice to use, doesn't ricochet either. It does, however, deal a guaranteed dot damage of somewhat okay damage. It's better than other Jacobs weapons, but it's still lower than a lot of other weapons in the game. The best way to get some kind of unique worth out of this gun is to use the 500% elemental crit anoint. It is, however, just outclassed by other weapons within the same niche. 167, the Cheap Tips. This is the kind of weapon effect that I really enjoy. Hit shots drop boosters that make you stronger, directly promoting aggressive play since you need to go and pick them up. The gun itself feels nice to use for what is a Hyperion SMG, though you do really need to play into this legendary effect to get the most out of this weapon. 166, the Horizon. This was the gun that made me decide that Gearbox used most of their cool ideas on Tediors, because how does this manufacturer keep winning? The Horizon's chuck sends out a target drone that you need to shoot, which also primes your next throw. Hitting the target creates a uniquely powerful singularity. It's the strongest singularity in the game, which I also believe it has the highest range of any singularity in the game. And unlike other singularities, it doesn't slingshot enemies past it. It brings them to it and then holds them there. before then exploding for somewhat decent damage. Like, we just have a black hole in a gun and it explodes. Unfortunately, the damage is very much kind of fixed once you put all your skills to it, and if an enemy has more health than that and it takes 2 throws to kill them, it really drags down its time to kill and clear. 165, the Ogre. Now, I get having a small collection of weapons that show up in every mainline game, and I do enjoy their presence. However, with some of these, can we not make them worse and worse to use every single iteration? In Borderlands 1, the Ogre was just a straight shooting killing machine. In 2, they added a spool up for its damage. And now we have a widespread bullet drop as well as that spool up. What's the Borderlands 4 Ogre going to shoot? Fucking onions? 164, the Magnificent. Made in a time where they must have thought, hey, Legendaries need to feel cool and powerful, but they also need to have like a unique downside as a balancing factor, and decided for the Magnificent. They needed a large mag, decent damage, at least now, and a long, slow, drawn-out reload animation. 163, the Nimble Jack. If you get this weapon in a playthrough and decide you don't like it, that's 100% a skill issue, I'm sorry. A very precise Jacob shotgun that wants you to jump while shooting. Regardless of how cool it is though, the damage just does fall off a bit too much in endgame, especially given the higher skill floor. 162, the Serial Killer. Oh, what could have been. Stacked up, this weapon compared with and surpasses a lot of higher ranked weapons. However, in a game cluttered with bonus elements that can steal the kills of its legendary effect, preventing it from stacking up the weapon damage bonus, it just gets held back too much. Coupled with the fact that Gearbox plain up forgot about its existence, meaning it never really got a 2.0 buff. So yes, it can match the damage of current higher end weapons post 2.0 without getting a 2.0 buff itself. Oh, what really could have been. 161, the Flamadiddle. The Omen attempted again, yet with nowhere near the oomph. With what is a somewhat okay chuck weapon, the Flamadiddle is unique in the fact that projectiles deal splash damage, presumably lending itself to a cozy spot in Mose's inventory. However, while I normally do not care for elemental locks in this game, given how easy it is to get around them, in this case though, a fire-locked weapon on the character who gets the least out of other bonus elements herself, while being loaded with all of the fire toys in her kits, really limits its use case to just flesh targets. 160, the Mongol. Good at large single targets that don't move much. Yep, that's the Mongol, same as it ever was. 159, the 10 gallon. One of the less interesting TDO weapons. You get a cute little drone that follows you around and chucking adds bullets to its mag. It does decently high projectile damage, and that's pretty much it. 158, the Old Ridian. This weapon rotates the element of its bullets every reload. It goes from fire to rad to shock to corrosive and finally cryo, which if you think about the health bars which go shield, armor, flesh, is the wrong order. Also, if you use a PlayStation 4 controller, it lights up the colour of the element the gun has rolled. I know you don't care, but I'm telling you anyway. 157, the Conference Call. It's trying its best. It's just so fussy. The conditions need to be just right, and you need one with good parts. And then when everything falls together, it can be very good. Otherwise, it just fills you with raw disappointment. 156, the Critical Thug. Another one of Zane's Eraser toys. Critical hits ricochet stickies around at a somewhat acceptable damage. 155, the Brainstormer. While the Brainstormer got completely overshadowed by the new kid on the block, it had its own little personal comeback. Catching a manufacturer-wide buff, the Brainstormer is quite competent. Shots chain between targets for decent multi-target damage, but poor single-target damage. 154, the Damned. If the Damned has 20,000 fans, then I am one of them. If the Damned has one fan, then that fan is me. If the Damned has 0 fans, then that means I am dead. By all means, this is not an interesting weapon. It's a standard rifle with a gun shield, but that's exactly why I like it. It's consistent, easy to use, dependable, reliable. Exactly like the weapon, its appearance seems to be loosely based off of. 153, the Gatling Gun, and I just realised I didn't write anything down for the Gatling Gun. 1 second. Right, so the Gatling Gun has, not reloads included, about 250,000 card DPS, which is aggressively mediocre. 152, the Scoville. A dog pistol with splash radius of the fucking sun. Trying to use this on anyone but Zane, and especially Moe's, is just a recipe for a bad time. 151, the Lovable Rogue. Having been overshadowed by some other Torg assault rifles that were released sooner than the Rogue, it never really got much love. Not like it does much to deserve it, but hey, at least it's better than a lot would give it credit for. It works like a basic Torg assault rifle, though it's actually full auto. Why aren't the others? And then, on detonation, it can spawn homing missiles that go after other targets. 150, the Cutsman. Oh, how the community misses you. You can still make the Cutsman do work and get the old time to kill on some bosses as before, it just takes a lot more effort now, but trust that it can be done. 149, the Vosk's Death Grip. So awkward to use, but so much potential. This gun has good damage, but only if your enemy is a large inanimate object, like a sofa or something. Enemies trapped in the energy beam will die fast, otherwise they'll just look at you wondering, why on earth did you think that this was a good weapon to bring? 148, the Cocky Bastard. The first of many Jacob snipers that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, and then go on a one-shot spree. It does this by giving the player a powerful shock bonus element on a critical hit. Unfortunately, that means the unique part gets drowned out a bit by Revolter and other bonus elements, and is very reliant on those crits. 147, the Stone Thrower, a Jacob's assault rifle that ricochets 3 projectiles instead of 1. Not much to say here, there's a blue Jacob's assault rifle that does the same, but is also shock, so why this is less interesting than that, I don't know. 146, the Reiner. This is one of those fees or fines that only affect the lower class. It fires out a large, slow projectile that latches onto enemies, kind of like the purple lump, only it fires micro rockets during flight. I would call it the budget plague bearer, only that it's extortionately expensive to use. 9 ammo per shot? Fucking 9? Who does it owe money to? The Borderlands Mafia? Like Joey? 145, the Hyperfocus XZ41. A plucky little weapon, this creates extra projectiles on hit that can bounce off of walls, so it actually gets better when used in enclosed spaces. 144, the Devil's Foursome. 143 and 142, the Bangarang and the Gunnerang. These chuck weapons I just had to rank together. The Gunnerang hits a bit harder, but the Bangarang shoots bullets mid-flight, so choose your favourite. They're strong, you have a chunky reserve, though there is quite a bit of a learning curve to them. 141, the Shredderfire. I've mentioned how I like the fact that there are a few select guns that show up every game, and I'd like them to continue with that with just a small few examples, and the Shredderfire is absolutely in that list now. In Borderlands 4, we finally have an actual proper minigun class of weapons, and the Shredderfire better be a damn legendary ordnance or I'm rioting. 140, the Crossroads. Men only want one thing, and it's fucking disgusting. Like, why? They acknowledged it needed some damage back after the updates and went and gave it some base damage. Like, yeah, that's cool and all, I can use it again, but I don't care, that's not the point. Just give it its force projectile back. Didn't do anything wrong to deserve it getting taken away. All we want is for it to be ×4 and not ×3. 139, the NARP. Shoot it, reload it, and there you have a high tier sniper rifle that's now got 200% more fire rate and 200% more damage. The bonus caps at 10 rounds left in the mag and applies to the whole magazine of the next, so don't feel like you need to torque out the mag size at all. Also, despite being Hyperion, it doesn't have much sway, and after shooting it once, it's rock steady stable. 138, the Tankman's Shield. Very similar to the NARP. Now while I prefer the NARP, I'm rating the Tankman's higher just because of the much higher peak the damage goes. The Tankman's gains its damage stacks for the next mag on kill rather than bullets left. So get a kill, reload for a base bonus. Then use that to get a few more, reload again. Repeat until happy, then maintain the mag with ammo regen or refills. For each kill you get 40% more damage and mag size per stack, up to 250% for the next magazine. 137, the Blank. Every time I try and use this, and the next weapon on, I go, yeah, these are decent, and then move them up. Then when I go on to test other weapons, I end up shuffling them back down again. The Blank is good, and when it's fully stacked, it genuinely has really high damage output, but I'm just not willing to jump through that many hoops for a Radar pistol. Also, the burst fire mode feels a lot better than the full auto mode, as it has a higher fire rate and no burst delay. 136, the Link. It's the next weapon on the list, and very closely matched power-wise to the Blank, lower peak, but much more consistent and very easy to use. It's just a shame it's not in the world loot pool. 135, the Tunguska. The Radius King is back with a bit of a different niche this time. It still works the same, but to get the most out of it, use any way to resummon the projectile through Eraser or Indiscriminate. And it turns it into a solid mid-tier mobbing weapon. It's one of my favourite launchers to use on Amara. 134, the Monocle, the second of many Jacob snipers that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, then go on a one-shot spree. This one achieves this by providing a large crit bonus when scoped in. Great for damage, not great for usability. High zoom scope, plus unable to hit fire, holding it back. 133, the Hellfire. The single most misunderstood weapon in the game. If you've seen the Hellfire populating the bottom of other lists, I absolutely do not blame them for putting it there. They are, however, wrong. This weapon has you jump through so many hoops and obstacles, you'd have to be a wipeout professional to get it right. So, the Hellfire has an absurd dot for its base damage, 90,000, which is double the previously mentioned companion. And it's also Splash. And it's the only weapon in the game that can stack its dot twice, both from indirect splash hits and direct hits. The high dot means that it has a very high cryo efficiency tied to it, 1200% if it were full cryo. So with infusion, the bonus elements, we can freeze things very fast. Very, very fast. Then, because it's Splash, on Amara we can unweave the rainbow and just insta-delete the enemy. There are several ways to leverage this tech, both with and without the 500% LA crit anoint, and the damage is high enough to get you through a comfy true target Guardian takedown. It's that good. However, having this use on a single character means it's very limited, and I've had to deduct a lot of points for it. 132, the One Pump Jump. Similar to the Nimble Jack, but better in every way. More powerful, more accurate, single projectile making it good for overkill, increasing its damage even more, and has a chance to not use ammo, a very high one at that. 131, the Scourge. This was the premier mobbing weapon of Mayhem 4. So good, in fact, I had to look up and see if this ever got a 2.0 buff, because it was still doing well when I tested it at Mayhem 11, and no, it didn't. It was just built different. 130, the Devoted. Made in a time when they must have thought, hey, Legendaries need to feel cool and powerful, but they also need to have like a unique downside as a balancing factor, and decided for the Devoted. They needed a large mag, decent damage, at least now, and a long, slow, drawn-out reload animation. 129, the Flood. The Flood, I found, is the definition of fun and smiles. Everyone likes the Flood. If you don't at least enjoy this weapon on a playthrough or an arms race or something, then I just don't trust you as a person. 128, the Good Juju. The game's resident Destiny reference gun, and they chose a great weapon for it, proceeding to incorporate the wrong part of it in the process. The Bad Juju's special effect is it gave you super energy on use, but also happened to have a generic perk at the time, Headseeker, attached to it. In Borderlands 3 here, we didn't get action skill cooldown, which is a large shame in my opinion. What we do have though is kills reload the weapon and body shots improve critical hit damage by 20% up to 25 stacks, starting at 0%. Also, don't use the secondary firing mode, it reduces the damage for some reason. 120, the Mutant. I don't need to dunk on this weapon because the Loot Lemon description does that for me. Shoots a continuous laser beam with unreliable accuracy. Yeah, this weapon does bounce around a lot. Positively though, this weapon does still retain the Jacob's ricochet effect despite there being no mention of it on the item card. 126, the Troubleshooter. Changes the element based on the enemy's weakness. Cool, but due to how many bonus elements you likely have, the less impactful that it sounds. It does, however, make it very easy and consistent to use. 125, the Little Yeetie. One of the 18,000 legendary Jacob's pistols. This flavor does high damage, fires 2 projectiles that deal increased knockback, And unlisted on the card is that melee, slide, and slam kills will refill the magazine, a benefit that feels kind of pointless considering it has the reload speed of under 2 seconds. 124, the Pat Mark III. Oh, he's so cute. Who's a good boy? That's right. Who's the cutest murder drone that gets both damage formula and a special laser attack who can melt my face off? That's right, it's the Pat Mark III. 123, the Contained Blast, and 122, the Julius Dazzle. It's the Battle of the Mid, winner gets to claim the sought-after title of second best Torg assault rifle all the way down here. Contained Blast does the thing where half the damage is impact and the other half is sticky. This is actually a really good effect for a Torg AR to have, or just Torg in general. And the Julius Dazzle on the other hand is pure impact damage, fully automatic, and kills refill the magazine. Kind of like the other, the good Juju, that other Mayhem 4 weapon. Wonder if they were running out of ideas. Anyway, both these weapons are good, so just choose your favourite. 121, the Balloon. Charge it and let it rip. That's how this weapon feels. Charge it up and wait for that oh so beautiful sound and unleash 500,000 DPS hell on your enemies. Did I mention when you use it this way, it also deals splash damage? Well, it does. Just don't use it with ammo regen or it won't empty the magazine, so you'll have to manually reload it. Or just manually reload it anyway, and so you don't have to tweak your build. 120, the Hive. Slow to deal damage, but that doesn't really matter so much when the damage is this high. The projectiles can sometimes struggle with terrain at times, but that's mostly fine. A great base game launcher for pre-mayhem. 119, the Iceberger. Probably the worst of all the cartel weapons, and it still kinda slaps. Using its 6 years of work experience at McDonald's post-college dropout, it discovered how to fire a laser that also fires explosive burgers, and then when those explosive burgers explode, they send out more explosive burgers. 118, the Nukem. Downright one of the coolest weapons in this game. God, I miss when this thing couldn't discriminate, it was so damn silly. Genuinely wish there was a legendary ordnance in Borderlands 4 that does the same thing. 117, the Dowsing Rod. I love this weapon. The gun itself is meh, but the best part of it is the underbarrel. It's a grenade launcher, and a damn good one at that. I'll still happily boast the one time I got a world record on a proving ground with this thing. And that run is still within 10 to 15 seconds of the current world record. It's character specific sure, and a bit harder to use, so that's a shame, but it hits hard and it feels good to use. 116, the Ionic Disruptor. I don't get this thing. It has a huge base damage, so you'd expect it to be an amazing generic Jacob sniper rifle, but the projectiles just act weird. They don't fly slate, they think they're better than me or something. As for the effects, well, strap in for a long list. Melee enemies to trigger a dot. Shots deal 100% more damage against these enemies. Cool, so it's a ripper with a weaker effect. Next, this dot deals bullet damage. This means they get short fuse. The dot gets short fuse. This opens the door to so much ridiculous bullshit, it is the highlight of the weapon. And finally, it bypasses shields on flesh enemies. This would be good, but there's so many bonus elements and secondary instances of damage, this effect is kind of rendered useless and you end up depleting the shields anyway. 115, the Vanquisher. This is one of those weapons you could put anywhere. Slide speed increased by 20%, while sliding, fire rate increased by 100% and damage by 200%. As a weapon, it's okay at best, put it a bit further down the list, like 161st or something. The main draw though is the slide speed. Great for speedruns and valuing your own dwindling time available on this planet. How much you value using a weapon slot for movement speed though is entirely up to you. 114, the Nothingness. This nifty shotgun fires a line of delayed explosions. If an enemy is dumb enough to stay in the area while it primes itself, you know what? That's natural selection, it deserves everything that it has coming to it. 113, the Unforgiven. The Unforgiven is a weapon I ended up using as a benchmark, everything above and everything below. It has the utility providing a crit damage to weird things like bullet grenades. It's also best in slot for Moses Dagobah. Genuinely, if you want to tear holes with Dagobah, try it with a URAD Unforgiven and a Rocketeer class mod, it's so good. 112, the Feebit. One of the most forgotten about legendaries in Borderlands 3. Unused, never really got a limelight appearance, in the only optional full map in the entire game, in an area of that map which is only used for one side quest, the Porta Potty Poop side quest. They could not have hidden this weapon away anymore if they had tried. 111, the Scorpio. Why on earth does this weapon have 50,000 base damage? How the fuck did it pay off at Gearbox to get a buff this insane? If you get this on a playthrough, it will just one-shot everything until the end of the game, legitimately. The only thing it's missing is an actual relevant legendary effect. Why go through all of the trouble to make a unique guns with legs drone for it to just not get a formula, hit like a soggy leaf, and has the fortitude of 1-2? 110, the Stalker. Not to be confused with the pearlescent pistols from Borderlands 1 and 2, the Stalker dull sniper rifle is actually really good. Good DPS on its own, but when compared with Terror, this elevates the gun threefold. Literally, it gains up to 2 extra projectiles based on the amount of Terror stacks that you have. 109, the Nemesis. Like the binary operator, this weapon entirely depends on when you get it. At max level, it's a solid weapon, decent damage, can deal with shields by itself, great hipfire accuracy, handling, and reload speed. This weapon is dependable. If, however, you get it during a playthrough or arms race, then it ascends to generally one of the best guns in the game. It's like holding Alt F4 over everything you pointed at. It's like playing with cheats. The fast, accurate bullets turn the game into a point-and-click adventure. 108, the Smart Gun. It might feel like I'm being a little bit harsh with the overall placement of TDO weapons, but trust me when I say they are genuinely really good. And that doesn't stop with the Smart Gun. Some okay shooty damage, but amazing chuck damage. This thing hits hard. Though what plagues most TDOs is how slow they deal that damage. This means that if it's capable of a one-shot, it's amazing, and that's true for most of the game's mobbing. However, the moment any enemy health bar surpasses this damage, its effectiveness drops off a cliff faster than a caravan, as it literally doubles your time to kill. 107, the Blind Sage. Gearbox really tried to make good legendary shockwave variants in its DLCs with how often they tried, and this one is actually quite cool. Hitting an enemy with it marks them. Killing marked enemies with the Blind Sage creates large projectiles that eject out at light speed, seeking out a new target to impale. It's cool, but lacks consistency. Sometimes, the Blind Sage itself won't trigger these projectiles, sometimes other sources of damage will. It's quite bizarre. 106, the Craps. Out of every single weapon in the game, this one lives up to its name the least. Or the most, if it's describing what the enemy feels when you shoot it at them. It is one of the very few Torg weapons where actively choosing to use impact mode does not feel like a waste of time. Normal shots are okay at best, however sometimes it shoots 5 projectiles. And if you want a runaway to fire +1 projectile, it doubles up the entire shot, so instead of going from 5 to 6, it goes from 5 to 10. Now, stop crapping yourself, this isn't some miracle synergy, it's just keeping it equal to literally any gun that fires a single pellet, so calm down. 105, the Gargoyle. Hitting an enemy with everything that's coming out of the barrel means one of two things. Either A, your target is a literal building, or B, you're so close you've invaded their personal space's personal space. It's fun and probably the only practical COV pistol that won't drain your wallet or your patience waiting for it to kill things. 104, the Laser Splitter. Please get a double penetrating version when farming this weapon. Despite what the item card says to you about it, it consumes 2 amp per shot, but instead of firing an extra projectile, it just doubles the laser damage itself. It does not reflect this on the card, it's lying. It's that damage number times 2. But not times 2, just actively doubled. 103, the Slow Hand. The Slow Hand is back and not so better than ever. Okay, it is, but in a world with much higher competition, this weapon relegates itself to the sidelines. Not because it's any less powerful than it ever was, it's just getting old and there's new hot shots on the scene and it just can't keep up with them. It's not even a top 5 E-Tech shotgun. 102, the Ion Cannon. Remember when this weapon got added to the game and we all lost our collective minds? Well, this is where it is now. Tired, outclassed, and runs out of steam after running even half the distance it used to be able to. 6 ammo per shot, this poor fucking thing. 101, the Wedding Invitation. God damn it, Gearbox, why can't this weapon drop pre-level 72? I want to turn on Broken Hearts and remind the early game who's in charge. The Wedding Invitation has some debuffs attached to it too, which is what allows it to keep up. Both the Fire Explosion and the Cryo Ricochet trigger a separate stackable debuff. The fire explosion makes enemies take 50% more fire damage and 25% more cryo damage. The cryo ricochet does the same, but reverse. Each can stack 4 times. 100. The Headsplosion. The third of many Jacob snipers that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, then go on a one-shot spree. It does this by being the resident explosive sniper of the game. Critical hits also ricochet 3 projectiles instead of 1, softening up while straight up killing other targets to make it easier to keep cycling overkill. 99. The Tig's Boom. It's great damage held back by the fact that the damage comes with next day delivery. You want it now, but you have to wait till tomorrow. It's fast enough that you can't complain, but your impatience still causes you to toss the weapon aside for other options. Which is fair enough, but it may deserve better. 98 and 97. The Storm and the Firestorm. They're the same, different, but still the same. The Firestorm doesn't hit as hard, but fires faster, and in my opinion, the better of the two. The Storm does a Tesla shot pretty quickly, whereas the Firestorm summons meteors around the target. These meteors hit hard, just be careful not to stand under them. 96. The Shocker. Don't be confused into thinking this is an alternate lob. Shots split into 3, explode on impact, commit crimes against bandits and your eyeballs when used with Zane and Eraser. 95. The Krakatoa. A weapon just as likely to kill you as much as it is the enemy if you're not careful. On kills, the Krakatoa summons an erupting volcano that do not discriminate who it's taking off the census. No, the shots aren't splash, and that's a huge shame. What isn't a shame though is the 140,000 base damage this thing boasts. 94. The Convergence. I think this weapon kind of tried to be the interfacer, but dropped the ball completely. Everything is telling me that this weapon should be really strong, and it is, but why hell is it inconsistent? Every pellet that hits summons 3 additional pellets that converge in and strike the target. Slightly delayed, but up to 4 times the damage, which it really needs, because this thing only does like 8 or 9k per projectile on a times 2 ammo variant, which is not good. Great on Flak, somewhat decent on Amara and Zane, skip it on those. 93. The Moonfire. Every third shot is amped, plus 200%, essentially doubling its overall damage. Now this does make this weapon somewhat okay for one-shots. It's also useful for kickstarting an overkill chain, which is probably how you want to best utilize this weapon. If you're an aim god and can do that, you'll have a grand whole time. Otherwise, probably not. 92. The Baby Maker. The Baby Maker is a con artist, and goddamn I respect it for that. It spent so long mugging players of their ammo that everyone discounted it, stopped using it so it could retire to a beach somewhere completely unbothered. That was until we discovered that if you empty the magazine first, before you throw it, it's just as good and won't obliterate any chances you had at throwing a second one. The drones burst out, homing in and gunning down everything in its way. 91. The Kings and Queens Call. This is purely a bossing weapon unless you're just them. Trying to use this in mobbing feels like a waste of time. Malo and enemies die from the first hit, that the actual cool effect of the weapon is wasted. And you know what can't? Then consistently hitting COV heads is an uphill battle thanks to all the knockback and aim punch they give you. Then there's beasts. Yeah, don't even bother trying. How have Skags evolved so much that hitting a crit just feels impossible? Alright, bossing. Yeah, it's cool. Number 90, the Seventh Sense. Similar to the above, but actually very different. You don't need to hit crits to summon the bonus projectiles. This gun is more like a Torg weapon than a Jacobs. Shoot an enemy a bunch, then reload to trigger all the spawn projectiles to gang up on the target like it walked down the wrong alleyway and owed the wrong person money. Choosing when to reload so that the spawn projectiles are just enough to finish the enemy off is something that will come with a bit of practice and feel. The weapon's effectiveness at clearing will entirely depend on how good you are at that. Can't get anoints, but doesn't really need them. 89. The ASMD. If you think this gun is weak, you either are just uninitiated on how to use it, or I'm terribly sorry to inform you that you have an advanced case of skill issue. Okay, do not manually swap firing modes. The gun does that by itself. Hip fire to launch an orb. Then aim down sights to fire a beam to detonate the orb once it reaches an enemy. It travels a tad slower than a brisk walk, so you have plenty of time. And you do not have to hit the orb directly, so don't panic, just shoot somewhere in the area code and you'll get it. Throw in some projectile speed from Amara, and you have one of the most fun guns to use in this game. And if anyone hasn't played Unreal, you'll know exactly what I mean. Though you may be disappointed with just how much easier it is to use here. Literally, I went and played Unreal just to use this weapon in that game to try it out, and I got humbled. Number 88, the Legendaries. The Legendaries' path through Borderlands 3's lifespan has been up and down like a roller coaster, and well, this is where it settled. With a huge mag and reload speed faster than some of the fastest pistols. Like, why does it do that? It's so silly. The Legendaries' shots split after a small delay, so any bonus projectiles will also do the same. With a high fire rate, this gun is basically just 2 assault rifles in a trench coat trying to pass off as a sniper. And with decent enough ammo regen, it pulls it off really well without asking you to sacrifice too much to do it. Like, you can do that cozily even with the small mag high damage variant of it. 87, the Rocket Pod. If I had a nickel for every weapon that increased its burst for every kill it got, I'd have 2. They did it twice. They also did it right. Twice. A great bunch of fun. Just make sure you have some method of rocket ammo recovery because it'll really fulfill its worth. And if you're a flak launcher enjoyer, then the Rocket Pod will find a nice comfy home in your backpack. Number 86, the DNA. Probably the weakest of all Mayhem 6 weapons, which is kind of like saying the slowest car on this grid of race cars, or the worst ice cream in my freezer that I bought and put there. It's a solid upgrade over the Cutsman, even despite having random elements, though just like the Cutsman, slow bullets, widespread, limited ability to benefit from on-hit effects and crit spots, limit the use of this case of this weapon. It's not just picky about being a bossing weapon, it's picky about which boss fights it wants to be used in. 85, the Heartbreaker. If you forgot this gun was in the game, I wouldn't blame you. I will, however, blame you for not trying it out now that you do know. It hits hard and keeps you going while you do it. Like all Hyperion shotguns, and most weapons, I recommend using the small mag variant for maximum damage, then, very importantly, supplementing the low mag with magazine size boosts, notably the 72% on the artifact slot. Extra useful for flak, thanks to leave no trace, head count, and providing lifesteal. Number 84, the Kratos EMP5. This weapon's placement depends entirely on how much you value movement speed. As a weapon, it's pretty decent, but as a tool, it's invaluable. Having the EMP5 in your hands will give you a 25% movement speed boost. This weapon not only never leaves my inventory, it never leaves my equip slots. My 4 key on my keyboard no longer says 4, it just says EMP5 on it. If any one item had the record for the most time spent in my equipped loadout, it would be this. It is routinely the very first item I go and get when I reach Mayhem 4, because everything I do afterwards is now just done faster. 83, the Grease Trap. Whatever was driving Gearbox when they made the Cartel update, I need them to do that again. They were firing on all cylinders. A kitchen has never worked so well together. No yelling or shouting, just pure perfect team chemistry. Everything about that content was just perfection, and that didn't stop at the weapon selection. The Grease Trap is cool as fuck. I'm sure over the years you've seen many videos on funkier ways to use this weapon, headed by none other than giving the clone one and then using the other firing mode yourself. Typing this made me realise that I need to try this with the ASMT. So to use this pistol, you need to run around coating enemies with the grease mode. Once sufficiently greased up, swap to the fire starter mode and watch the world burn. 82, the Ruby's Wrath. You can mob with it, you can boss with it, you can even rocket jump with it. The Ruby's Wrath does everything and does it all well. You don't need to use the tracking grenade mode, but it's funny to watch the rockets if you do. 81, the Gold Rush. This is generally such a cool weapon. Like the cheap tips, it promotes aggressive play and rewards it with a snowballing power increase. For each batch of money you pick up while using this weapon, you'll get a stacking 5% fire rate, reload speed and mag size bonus, up to 20 stacks. Amusingly, swapping weapons retains this bonus. Though why Gearbox had to nerf it 4 to 6 hours after it came out, I have no idea, and I haven't forgiven them for it. 80, the Miscreant. Miscreant was one of those weapons that has a cult following, and those who use it absolutely swear by it. It's humble, it's powerful, and it's simple despite having relatively limited range and mag size. You either spend half your life watching the reload animation, or sacrifice some damage to try and sustain it. Number 79, the Handsome Jackhammer. I wonder if this weapon's placement is the most surprising of any on this list. The Handsome Jackhammer is cracked. Why is it so good? Well, it's a little tricky to use, but it has good coverage for mobbing against anything firmly planted to the ground, and for bosses, well, let's just say this is one of the best guns in the entire game for Hemovorus the Invincible. Literally. If I remember, I'm going to link a friend's Hemovorus kill with it, and if I don't remember, remind me in the comments. And if I do, well, remind me anyway, because algorithm stuff, hell yeah. Number 78, the Globetrotter. A build-specific Guardian takedown weapon, these will start getting pretty common. This is a top-tier weapon when used with Zane and Eraser. Otherwise, it's just kinda decent. Though do not use this in low gravity, which happens to be the very activity you'll get it from. The shots will bounce up in the air and kind of forget to come back down. Number 77, the Garcia. Oh, how I miss the old firing pattern. Now it's stuck on this awkward double shot pump, which is less than ideal. I don't want my shotgun to give me an attitude every time I pull the trigger, you know? Number 76, the Smog. While the buff is active, it hits like a truck. Get shot once, and you'll get plunged so hard into mediocrity, you'll wonder why you even did the Guardian takedown to get this thing in the first place. It's best used with Zane's barrier, so you can cower behind it and keep the 250% damage buff to your heart's content. Or play flak and utilize the aggro draw from his pet, or just get really good at dodging bullets. With the buff active, it can match the plasma coil in DPS output, while also having access to Hyperion crit buffs. It's genuinely up there. Number 75, the Lob. Remember when this thing got a 2.0 buff before 2.0, and just straight terrorized the sandbox for a few weeks? Yeah, it's still good. A bit awkward to use, passes through enemies, so you can't really benefit from indiscriminate or crits, but the damage is still very much there. Also, on the fire rate, it's still about the same as before, you just gotta really mash the shots. Number 74, the TK's Wave. While the TK's Wave absolutely has all of the downsides of the Tidal Wave, at least this gun has the damage to back it up, and goddamn does it do damage. Tragically, however, it still doesn't ricochet. Number 73, the Creeping Corruption. If I asked you to tell me what this weapon is and what it does just by name alone, I wouldn't blame you for asking me if I was even talking about Borderlands 3 anymore. What do you mean there's a non-elemental dial assault rifle that summons corrosive orbs that drain enemy health and gives a stacking 33% gear debuff for 35 seconds? Wait, 35 seconds? That's an insane duration for a debuff. Most are like 8 seconds. That's like 5 times the average lifespan of a Pandoran bandit. Number 72, Sledge's Shotgun. Sledge's Shotgun is the type of weapon you remember who's actually in this game on your 9th playthrough, only to realise just how goddamn good it is. Well, I'm not talking about the clairvoyance for a while, so we've got this for now. During a burst, this weapon does enough DPS to make the butcher blush. Get a super variant and it has a 3-round burst instead of a 2-round burst. No ricochet effect is a shame, but it does have increased knockback. Number 71 and number 70, the Trick Shot and the Maggie. And in the distance, I think I hear the cry of Epic NNG calling me a coward for ranking these two together. And the truth is, yeah, they really do rank together. There is very little to choose between them. The Trick Shot has a higher peak, yet the Maggie is smoother to use and more consistent. Often I find the Trick Shot stuttering while it's waiting for the first shot to register a connection before it can fire the rest. The Maggie also plays nicer with on-hit effects like Leave No Trace and Head Count. We've gone through a lot of Jake's pistols to get here, and both of them are still going full throttle. Personally, I prefer the Maggie more, but there's very little to choose between them. Number 69, the Star Helix. I think the Star Helix is just really dependable. It's hard to say anything bad about it. Its bullet pattern can lend itself to a little bit of inconsistency, but otherwise it's a great reliable weapon. Number 68, the Flakka. I don't really think Gearbox knew what to do with the Flakka. Buff the ammo. No, nerf the ammo. Okay, lower its damage, but make it cheaper to fire. No, buff the bag size now. Okay, we can raise the damage now again. They don't know what to do. Now it's one of the most ammo efficient guns in the game. Like, if you're playing and making decent progress, it's literally impossible to run out of ammo. And if you do, then you're a magician or something. Also, this gameplay, this is peak Flakka, so deal with it. Number 67, the Serve Boss Execute. Okay, this weapon could go literally anywhere. Empty the mag, reload it, and the chuck sticks to a target, providing a stacking 50% gear debuff for 12 seconds, which is a very healthy duration. And the best thing about this is it doesn't count as a hit. It does not reset stack bot, it does not iterate short fuse, it makes the tool so convenient when trying to theory craft speed kills or one-shots. So, how valuable a debuff is to you entirely dictates where it should go on the list. Number 66, the Frequency. Another DLC Legendary Shockwave, and this one is really fucking cool. Every kill you get adds another shot to its burst, to the point it's just mag dumping every charge. This gun behaves like a truck without brakes and 18 turbochargers. It starts slow, but once it's going, nothing is stopping it. It obliterates enemies so hard it deletes them from the game files. Once it's spooled up, it'll out-DPS the Monarch with its damn bipod out. Number 65, the Phaser. Use shotgun damage bonuses to increase its power, not assault rifle ones. That is, provided you're actually using the underbarrel. If you use the Phaser as a standard rifle, please stay away from me or I will get a restraining order. Or don't, because that's the kind of messed up, twisted energy I'm here for. If you can maintain the ammo on the underbarrel, then it's just a shotgun that does over 400,000 damage a shot. And it's splash. Number 64, the Becker. The Becker is one of those weapons with an actual skill cap. Fire too close and it's just an okay subpar Jacob's assault rifle. However, if you get that sweet spot, it can literally double or triple its damage output. The projectile is followed by 3 additional shots that fan out in a horizontal spread pattern, with the center shot following closely the same path as the original hit. Those 3 extra shots will have a minimum distance, so stand a little bit back. If you have a good trigger finger, then there really isn't much that's going to stop you, just don't get tired. It only comes in semi-auto and it has a pretty high fire rate. Number 63, the Unseen Threat. The 4th of many Jacob sniper rifles that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, then go on a one-shot spree. It does this by summoning bonus, homing projectiles on hit that'll seek out other targets. Number 62, the Bird of Prey. The 5th of many Jacob snipers that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, then go on a one-shot spree. We'll do this by having a random chance to summon a high-powered bird that dives into your target, dealing 600% damage. Holy shit. Oh, and in some recent testing, I found that this bird can short fuse. So you're basically just strapping explosives to the bird and sending it on its way. That's gotta be illegal. Number 61, the Roizen's Thorns. Why this weapon's skin isn't available to use for all weapons is a damn shame. Anyway, the gun itself. Use impact mode, not sticky. Impact mode fires an extra 4 projectiles, which hit pretty hard. Also, don't use the ×2 variant, you do not get to fire extra rockets, just a good old ×1 Roizen's Thorns, that's all you need. Number 60, the Fearmonger. On its own, this weapon is great. Easy to use, 240,000 damage a shot, smash, but it has a small delay on its damage. However, stick some terror on this bad boy and it get another 3 projectiles at max stacks. Number 59, here it is, the Redistributor. This is a great weapon that really comes into its own on Zane. Has amped chaining shots every 7 shots, or every shot if you're a coward and likes to hide behind a barrier. Hi, it's me. I'm Coward. Number 58, the Hydrofrost. Talk about going under the radar, cause goddamn did this gun fly under it. Treat this gun like a shotgun, but a video game shotgun. Get right up in the enemy's face, hold the trigger to their gut, and hold on tight, cause the Hydrofrost is going to take you for a ride. Competitive DPS before you realize that it has a 200% bonus element every other shot, or 100% per shot on average. So while this type of bonus is a bit worse if you're using the Revolter, it's still great. And if you aren't using that trash shield, then its bonus element is a godsend for getting through shields, while the Cryo can do its thing on the armor and health. 57, the Rebound. The Rebound does exactly what it says in the tin. Takes a swipe at the enemy's face, fucks off, and comes back for seconds in the form of a sucker punch. It's both splash and so chaotic and no one is safe from catching strays, so it's very good. It's good on all characters and it's fun to use. Number 56, the SF Force. The best laser in the game, the SF Force is an instant charge and is ready to throw hands. It utilizes both of its elements at the same time, which is cool, but make sure the primary element is the one that you want to use, because if you use the secondary one, it doesn't do any damage. So the SF Force got a buff, but in Gearbox's infinite wisdom, they didn't apply that buff to the secondary firing mode. So when you're farming this, when you want a specific element, it needs to be on the primary mode. Number 55, the Major Cog. So the Ion Cannon has a charge multiplier of 120%. A Proton Rifle about 2 to 250%. The Kick Charger, 300%. The Major Kong, however, has a charge multiplier of 500%. 500. This gun is just straight up 1 million card damage, and it does not apologize for it. This is the hardest single hitting weapon in the game. However, it makes my walk home from the pub look stable enough to be a master at the tightrope. The projectiles of this weapon do not know where it's going, so good luck trying to actually hit a crit spot with it. Number 54, the Torrent. The definition of brr. For you Guardian rank enjoyers, this weapon has a base of 20 fire rate before any buffs. That's 40% V1 for Cocker Combo. That is a lot, and that's a bonus you can apply to nearly anything you want. The gun itself? Sure. Action skills? Absolutely. Grenades? Hell yeah. Number 53, the Trevinator. Anyone who shit talks this weapon deserves to be forced to have their face put in front of the barrel and give a live demonstration just how powerful it is. Both the history of this weapon's namesake and how strong it is deserves respect. Trev is definitely gonna get you. Number 52, the Beacon. One of the big three legendary Marlow pistols. It's splash, high damage, and Novas on reload. Beyond that, it's not super interesting, but it won't do you wrong. The Nova increases in damage the less shots are left in the mag, so make sure to run it dry. Number 51, the Psycho Stabber. Weighing in with a solid 340% melee damage bonus, this is a must-have for any build looking to explore the damage type. From punching to grenade tossing or Nova spamming, you need one of these. Number 50, the Skull Masher, the sixth of many Jacob sniper rifles that are all basically identical gameplay-wise. Kill your target, stack overkill, and go on a one-shot spree. Sort of. It does this by firing 5 projectiles with every shot, which actually makes it not very good for overkill, as overkill divides its bonus amongst all the pellets. That doesn't stop the Skull Masher from having 300,000 base damage, while also being semi-automatic. The gun is just goated and probably the best overall Jacob sniper in the game. Just good luck farming the damn thing, because the realization of the Borderlands 3 part set is going to feel like getting hit by a bus. Number 49, their Cave's Worth. Ultimately outclassed in an otherwise stacked list of splash SMGs, the Kibsworth still holds its own, commanding a very respectable 400,000 DPS and good utility to boot. Kills summon a strong healing circle and has an amped gun shield to give this weapon even more damage output. Number 48, the Projectile Recursion. Growing up is realizing that the Recursion is not an Amara mobbing weapon, it's a Zane bossing weapon. This, on the right setup, with its exceptionally high dot damage, is capable of making true trial bosses look like mayhem baby bosses. They're just gone. Number 47, the Redline. 12 liters and 400 horsepower of pure American pride. The Redline might live a quarter mag at a time, but it's taking a whole ass health bar with it. And if you're Moze and you need a bossing weapon, just get this. You don't even need to proc some for the road, but with it, it has enough torque to drag the entire boss pool to their graves. Number 46, the Hornet. The Hornet has a habit of continuously coming back and continuously just being a fantastic weapon. Like, it cannot go wrong. It's great, powerful, easy to use, and a solid pickup for any character. Really, it's accurate, has fast bullets, good handling, decent mag, and reload. There is no downside to this weapon. It's splash, it's style, and it doesn't stop there. Number 45, the Boomsicle. The base version is an assault rifle and is like, okay. I, however, decided to rank this weapon as one entry in its best form, and that's the Boom variant. It's now a shotgun for weapon type bonuses, and it's basically just an underbarrel with functionally infinite ammo reserves. And it's not just a shotgun, it's also explosive, because of course it is. At about 240,000 damage a shot, you can't really go wrong. Number 44, the Pestilence. I really didn't know where to put this because it's really bizarre. It's hard to use and relegated to a single playstyle, but within its microscopic niche, it fucks harder than bunnies at the start of spring. It's also the one weapon that I genuinely struggle to use. It has a very high skill floor and it's not afraid of that. But if you can tame the beast, then you've got the best horse in town. Number 43, the Embers Purge. If you do not know about this weapon, then listen the fuck up. If you ever struggle with Fight for Your Life, then pay attention. This weapon is the be-all, end-all for getting damage on a build that otherwise has none. If you can't kill shit in Fight for Your Life, then duct tape this gun to your equip slots and never let it out of your sight. I should probably tell you what it does, shouldn't I? The gun itself is so-so, but on hit, it can drop a puddle of lava at the enemy's feet. When I say lava, I don't mean that shit dribbling down the side of the volcano, I mean the fresh stuff, right from the core. It hits hard and is a primary ingredient for a recent pool stacking exploit that was found by somebody on Reddit. Capable of billions of damage in perfect conditions, otherwise capable of just a lot of damage. Number 42, the prompt critical. So, finding information on precisely how this weapon works was proving to be more trouble than it's worth. Then I remembered that one of the OG Borderlands 3 theory crafters got driven insane when doing the testing for the maths for this weapon, so you know what? Some things are best left in mystery. Like, this gun doesn't naturally crit. You actively need Megavore to do that. It's so cursed. Though what isn't a mystery is just how goddamn good this weapon is. Stick it in sticky mode and spam away. Sticky shots increase the damage, but also the radius of each hit stuck to a target for when it detonates. What's good about the prompt critical is it does most of its damage on the sticky impact, and then the rest on the detonation. 80% in fact. So you get the full fire rate bonus of sticky mode without really sacrificing much damage. So you don't need to wait or time your reload, enemies will just be dying regardless. So no thinking, just explosions. 41, the flipper. Long windup, great when it's there though. As it shoots, the gun increments its pellet count from 1 to 9. The perfect brain off, hold the trigger, and walk to the under end of the map. It's splash, but no radius, so no happy accidents. Easy to maintain for Blastmaster, and you don't really want to let go anyway, because it's only really competitive once it's fully charged up to 9 pellets. Number 40, the yellow cake. This nuclear warhead's leftover meal doesn't know when to quit. It woke up, chose violence, got smacked down by one of the biggest nerfs/changes in Borderlands 3 history, got it for round 2 and still won the war. Fire this weapon at the perfect angle and range, and whatever poor sod is on the other end will not live to see the aftermath. When paired with a Razor, this weapon is capable of the infamous quad dip. Do you have any idea what that means for anything alive within a 50-mile radius? Death. Death is what that means. 39, the Boogeyman. A splash, fully automatic sniper rifle. At a ridiculous 10 fire rate, you'd think this weapon is nigh unusable, but nay! With a 60% chance to not consume ammo, this weapon becomes far more efficient and relatively easy to maintain. The shots do splash, and spawns a homing pink skull on kill that'll do grenade damage. If you want a Moe's sniper rifle that's actually just a light machine gun in disguise, then you've come to the right place. 38. The Soul Render. The Soul Render is a dual assault rifle that has a 12.5% chance to summon homing skulls that seek out a target, dealing massively increased damage in a splash explosion. Big damage skulls that 1 to 2 tap most mobs that aim by themselves. But when I'm firing an entire mag, only for my supposed colleague to not turn up to work, I'm asking questions. Then when he does turn up, instead of targeting the badass zealot with a triple barrel rocket launcher pointed right at me, it decides it saw a fucking cricket or something 50 yards away and wants to ruin its day, and it can't even be bothered to go for crits. Despite this though, it'll still win Employee of the Month. Number 37, the Bloodstar Beast. Counts as an assault rifle for the purpose of weapon type bonuses, no idea why. It's got okay DPS, piercing rounds that have a chance to explode, dealing 15 times the damage. The explosions are relatively consistent for overall enjoyable experience, it's strong, respects your time, and it's also an E-Tech SMG, so that comes with an increased mag size as if it consumed an extra ammo per shot, but it doesn't, just one, so rock the small mag component for extra damage while enjoying a larger than average mag size. Number 36, the Insider. Anyone who uses the Insider knows exactly why this weapon is this high up the list. Recoil that'll break your back, but stay with it. The secret to this weapon is the fact that it's both explosive and pierces enemies. If you can't get a lineup, jump up, shoot down, through the enemy, so the shot lands just behind their feet. This allows you to hit them twice for double the fun. Fun for you, not the enemy. Number 35, the Clairvoyance. Why does this hit so damn hard? It has the damage of a Jacob Sniper, but in an assault rifle. It comes in all variants, though semi-automatic is the best. Gatling is comfy though if you want it to be fully automatic instead. Also, it just explodes. Yeah, it does that. It hits twice. Critical hits will leave a sticky behind that can ricochet to other targets as well, allowing you to deal its damage twice. However, this explosive sticky does not count as splash, which is very tragic. God, I wish it did. Number 34, the Needle Gun. Right, saddle up because this is going to be a long and complicated weapon. The Needle Gun fires slow, homing bullets that apply a stacking debuff up to 10 stacks. Applying the 10th stack will refill the magazine, and each stack improves your damage, ramping its damage to an uncontrollable level. The needle gun also boasts a 500% chuck multiplier, making it an extraordinarily strong weapon for chuck playstyles. Number 33, the Chaosin, a very lovable weapon. It's like, who doesn't love the Chaosin? The peak of Dahl, nigh perfect accuracy and handling, fast projectiles, easy to use, though it also explodes as well. Twice. I'd recommend going for a small mag variant, then play a choice between ×1 or ×2. Number 32, the Breath of the Dying, the ultimate, if he dies weapon. But the weapon's talking about you, the user. It will do whatever it takes to make sure there is nothing left alive in the room, even if that means mutually assured destruction. It's hard to describe the damage the orbs this weapon creates, so I'm just going to give you the maths. On killing an enemy, it summons 13 corrosive orbs that fan out in a 360-degree circle. Each orb's damage is 6 times the killing blow damage. Doesn't take card damage or anything, but the damage of the final shot that killed the target. The orb then goes on to hit something else. Thinks, hey, your damage formula was super tasty last time. I'm gonna double dip that, and then gets an extra 6 times multiplier. For some context, Remnant, that was a 7 times multiplier. But there's 13 of them! Number 31, the Multi-Tab. The more you look at this weapon's stats, the more you realise how batshit insane this is. It's a machine pistol with 7 fire rate, 99,000 damage on an Atlas pistol. Tracking rounds that split in flight with no cost of damage, essentially giving you 200,000 damage. Then it fires cryo-homing rockets on a reload. Also, it's Atlas, so it has access to Atlas Crit class mod passives and Atlas Fire Rate, which if you didn't know, Atlas Fire Rate for some reason is the largest fire rate passive in the game. It's just better than all the other manufacturers for some reason. Number 30, the Dark Army. The Dark Army summons 4 little cute drones that follow you about when you equip it. If you empty the mag and reload, the drones will gain element and splash, while also increasing their damage from OK to murder crazy. The trick with this weapon is that the gun damage with the drones is taken when you equip it and spawn them. So make sure you activate all your gun damage buffs here. Gun damage anoint, anti-freeze, driver class mod, etc. Just slide and swap them while at max speed, then you can swap your setup afterwards without affecting them. Number 29, the Plumage. This is Ruby's Wrath, but better. An extra projectile and more damage. Great for rocket jumping and great for damage. Number 28, the Hell Shock. Maybe I'm being biased as an Amara main here, but the Hell Shock just always has your back. High damage, 1 ammo per shot, easy to use, doesn't keep secrets, and is completely upfront about what it does. No matter when you are, no matter if you're in Prometheus Story or True Guardian Takedown, the Hell Shock serves its purpose. And those of you who want a numerical reason why this is here, 640,000 card damage without card DPS without reload, which is high. Number 27, the Lucian's Call. Attention critical flak builds. Get yourself a Lucian's Call ASAP. This assault rifle, if mixed with crit flak, will do a substantial amounts of damage if you get many crits while returning ammo with each crit. I wonder if the guy who wrote that now copy-paster is still in the community, and if they're aware of the legacy that they left us with. Anyway, it has all the hallmarks of a great weapon. It's easy to use, nigh perfect accuracy, both ADS and from the hip, multi-target and unmatched damage uptime among the assault rifles. Number 26, the Atlas Replay. If there's one Atlas weapon in the game you need to use the homing mechanics on, it's this, and please for the love of God, do. It shoots darts in a wide fan spread, and I don't know what magic they pulled off with them because they will always hit. Even if you miss or there's a wall in the way, the darts will find their target. Nothing will get in their way. The replay proceeds to then gain a fire rate buff for every marked enemy, which will be most enemies at the time, and then proceed they won't be joining us for dinner later. Oh, it's splash as well, so use it on those. Number 25, the Zitsev's Eruption. The Eruption is what you use if you really need something dead. If you embark on a true trial boss without one of these, you're doing yourself a huge misservice. Empty the mag before the encounter and swap away. Every time you swap back to it, it'll launch 8 projectiles, each applying a 20% debuff, which stacks to a silly 200%. That's like 10 piss grenades. In co-op, you can just decide that keeping this buff active is your job, and then technically you are contributing more damage than all of your teammates combined. Number 24, the Chaos. It's a rifle, no complications, no spiraling bullets hell-bent on taking the scenic route, just good old-fashioned straight-shooting bullets. Then when the enemy dies, which doesn't take long, they'll just explode. And not like a fancy-looking explosion that's more like a light blaze, no, just a fast, depart your insides, sudden explosion. Number 23, the Tizzy. The Tizzy will either take 1 mag to kill a boss, or 4. When it's spooled up and has reached its maximum heat, it'll enter overdrive, and chugs ammo like a beer drinking contest. However, at any point, it'll break, just like me, and you have to start over from the beginning. Inconsistent as all hell, but when it's capable of kicking out this much damage, we can forgive it. Number 22, the Rowan's Call. Yeah, it's hard to take anything from this weapon. It's strong, ricochets 2 ammo, returns 2 ammo on crit, allowing proper sustain, double the listed card DPS of Lucian's Call, oh, and it's splash on crits for some fucking reason. Number 21, the Hellwalker. If I had to wager what the single most used weapon in Borderlands 3 was, I would say it's the Hellwalker, and with good reason too. It even plays a guitar riff when you pick the damn thing up. It makes an entrance, and you stick around for the entire encore at the end. It hits hard enough to make anyone rethink their life choices, has the classic ricochet giving you some funny flak moments, and being an all-round fantastic weapon. Number 20, the Butcher. The gift that keeps on giving. Every time the Butcher comes back, it's better than its previous game's counterpart. Where do they even go from here? Make it start firing tracking nukes that also heal you? Like, there really isn't much more ceiling space for it. It's feeling really good, and it feels really capped out at this point. Oh, and a quick bit of advice for most players. No, this is not a good synergy. Things die because Butcher good and Mo's good. And no, you do not need bullet regen of any kind. Cloud of Lead is enough to maintain this weapon, so please stop speccing Forge when using the Butcher. Number 19, the OPQ system. After the initial hype, the yellow cake died, the OPQ was all the rage. The legendary Q system that took every single insult the Atlas band received since launch and stuffed it right back where they came from. The gun itself is strong, it's one of the strongest ARs in the game. Then you quickly find out it also makes shit explode. An explosion that double dips. It's the Soul Render on steroids. And it's Take Your Son to Work Day. It brings its own little drone that does the same thing. Unlike the Dark Army, the damage is determined when summoning the drone, so make sure you're stacked up on gun damage, tagbot stacks, etc. when you do that. Number 18, the Light Show. Why the Light Show has 120,000 card damage before the pellets hit, I have no idea. The Pocket Monarch isn't shy about anything. It will make sure its presence is known. The bullet spread and the projectile speed are the only things holding it back, however, making it near impossible to land all the pellets on a crit spot. Unless you're fighting Graveward or something. When researching the base DPS of every weapon, I hadn't quite realised just how high the Light Show is on the list. Number 17, the Face Puncher. Yep, here it is, this bastard of a weapon. Multi-talented in support item for stacking terror, or genetically modified monstrosity with Punchbot. Pure damage means that we can benefit from the Stackbot class mod without resetting it. It also means for every projectile we can spawn Amara's Body and Mind Orbs, which with stacked action skill damage, it can and will not hesitate to delete raid bosses from your game. There aren't many weapons that can push 1 billion DPS with a build behind it, but this is one of them. Number 16, the Blade Fury. Yeah, you can honestly rate these last two in any order depending on what your use case is or what characters you play. The Blade Fury is comfy at home on a Driver Amara build that I hate playing, or on a Bloodletter Manuel Mose build. Highly recommend. Sounds specific? Well, that's because it is. However, the Blade Fury just doesn't care. It's best in slot weapon, so as much as I despise it, I have to give it a good ranking for that. It also does bypass a couple immunity phases with its melee portion, but it's not many of them and it's really quite irrelevant to the weapon. Number 15, the No Pew Pew. What happens when you strap a steamroller to the front of a freight train? You get this, 1 million DPS pure fuck you. It has to spool up to get there, but it doesn't take long. And when it's going, hold on tight. The No Pew Pew boasts high values in every stat. Accuracy, pinpoint. Handling, easy to control. Bullet speed, basically hit scan. Damage, enemies dead. More damage, yeah, a puddle got left behind and now all their friends are dying. Also having over 100 rounds in the mag. If you want a preview into the minigun ordinances of Borderlands 4, use this. Number 14, the Backburner. Point it in a direction, spam away. Make a sandwich while the Backburner does your dirty work. Hit send bonus projectiles up in the air for a short distance before coming back down. So aim at the enemy's feet and let those projectiles deliver the uppercut of the century. Don't try farming a god-rolled one though. Number 13, the Monarch. The king of damage. You need something dead, you call the Monarch. For the price of planting your feet to the ground, you too can be the owner of 1 million car DPS straight out of the box. Times 8 variant has a bit of extra damage, so good for boss melts, but the moment you start needing to reload, the times 4 variant starts to become more useful. In general use, I would definitely recommend the times 4 variant most of the time. The Monarch also kicks out a staggering 92 projectiles per second, and 180 for the times 8. This means that if you're using a stack bot or consecutive hits anoint, it's fully ramped up practically immediately. Number 12, the Reflux. How this weapon managed to scam Gearbox out of so many unnecessary buffs, I have no idea. But it managed it, and what you have is a prime mobbing weapon that somehow swindled competent bossing and single target damage as well. Number 11, the Plaguebearer, the Scourge on steroids. It's been a while since talking about that. Anyway, the Plaguebearer. I deem this notably stronger than the Backburner because it's a damn sight better at bossing than the Backburner is at mobbing. While both are top tier in their respective strengths, something the Plaguebearer has a lot of, the main projectile not only hits hard while sending out a barrage of homing rockets, each with enough damage to send home a 3-bar badass COV. Number 10, the Plasma Coil. Here it is, the Plasma Coil. Probably the most single dependable weapon in the game, no matter what I'm doing. Who I'm playing, what build I'm using, a Plasma Coil is always welcome in my inventory. Whether it's being used for primary damage or just second wins, it's probably in there. It has a bizarre burst count that remembers where it's at, so sometimes you shoot this thing and like 2 bullets come out instead of the full 16. Regardless of that though, this weapon is a masterpiece, and I hope it's competitive in Borderlands 4. Tragically though, it is a jack of all trades, and the weapons beyond here just kind of outperform it in too many ways. Number 9, the Kick Charger. Despite doing less damage than the Major Kong, this weapon clears in every way. Is there a health bar there? Well, not anymore. Sliding makes the Kick Charger charge almost instantly, the projectile is nearly hit scan, and it's accurate enough. It does so much damage I can unequip half my build and still one-shot one of the largest interrupted health bars in the whole game. This is the gun that I used to one-shot the true Hagger Fervor when it released, without skill points. It's so dumb. Number 8, the Lucky 7. While undoubtedly one of the best weapons in its game when it's in its performance window, getting this thing going takes so long that half the weapons on this list have already completed the encounter and gone home for dinner. But once it is rolled, it's gone, and it's the last you'll see of it. Insanely build dependent, you'll need to be able to sustain this thing as one reload, and what you have is about as useful as a white flag on Pandora. Number 7, the Creamer. The Creamer collects world records like trading cards. On Zane, the Creamer is a force of nature. If I had one weapon to use on Zane to speedrun everything and I wasn't allowed to swap weapons ever, I choose this. Mobbing, bossing, doesn't matter, everything is dead. Just recently I landed an endgame overall world record using exclusively this gun. It beats them all, even those higher up the list. You can make an argument this gun should be top 3. However, limited to just one character to get this level of power, and, well, this is where a ranking video struggles. Does it go to the top, or is it here? The Creamer itself is crazy good. It fires a projectile, explodes in flight into 2 more. It goes mega crazy with a razor. Number 6, the Guardian Angel. This weapon brings non-gun playstyles to life, making them far more accessible and increasing the ceiling even more. Grenades, action skills, novas, ground slams, drones, reflect damage, your own goddamn farts, the Guardian Angel does it all. Number 5, the Complex Root. The Root. Yes, this weapon has the high highs and the low lows. On its own, it's very poor, though on multiple sources of splash radius, however, and it's like putting a can in the microwave. Nothing makes it out alive in that interaction. You need to use immunity shields to be able to use the Root without immediately killing yourself. And even if you can manage that, you'll want to kill yourself after about 4 shots. The complete and utter offense to my eyes is entirely deserved for using such a weapon. However, the fact that only 2 characters can get proper use out of it, and if you happen to be playing Borderlands 3 on the wrong platform, guess what? No super radius for you. Yep, this setup just straight up doesn't work. Number 4, the Sandhawk. Do you need something dead right now? The Sandhawk is the weapon you need. The Sandhawk shoves so much damage down the enemy's throat, it's capable of killing them and their entire family heritage all the way back to the formation of the first cellular organism. The Sandhawk saw other things alive in your way and decided that was a problem. It handles the enemy so badly that the camera has to cut away and just show brief silhouettes when lightning flashes. You know, this gun has more damage than 2 Monarchs with their bipod out, combined. This is the highest card DPS of any gun in the entire game and has the performance to back it up. It gets bonuses those other weapons also just don't get. It gets Dull Crit on Class Mod, Sniper Crit, and it's even Splash. They just didn't know when to stop. They poured in the damage till they ran out, went to the store, bought their whole stock, and then carried on. And here we are, the top 3. In third place, the Free Radical. The battle for third and the final podium spot was genuinely a bit of a tough one, between the last 3 items, but ultimately I think it just has to be the Free Radical. Like, what do you mean? This is a splash machine pistol with 125,000 card What? Oh, it creates a bonus projectile that hits the same target and does the same damage as the original hit? Alright then. 250,000 card damage. What were they thinking? Well, I'm happy and very comfortable not putting this near the top 2. Third is very well deserved. Okay, it's been a long road, and deciding the order of these next 2 was the toughest choice in the entire list. Number 2, the Anarchy. The decision between number 1 and 2, it was so difficult, and honestly you could put them either way around and not be wrong. They're so clear cut above the previous weapons in these top 10, it doesn't really matter. The Anarchy is a fun case because, did you know this never got a buff? It just came out like this, before Mayhem 2.0. There's poor Mayhem 4 enemies. Every reload or kill gives the weapon a stacking 30% damage increase. This is not linear. Each stack increases the new damage by the same percentage. So at 10 stacks, you have 1,370% damage bonus, giving you a card damage of 1 million damage per shot. Per shot! If that wasn't enough, hitting the enemy in the face will ricochet it Jacob style. If that wasn't enough, missing it completely will cause the Anarchy to bounce off of a surface and track towards an enemy. And if that wasn't enough, it's also Splash! Everything about this weapon is just fuck you. And don't worry about stacking it up. I did comparison runs between non-pre-stacked Anarchy and other weapons, and by the end of the Melee 1 takedown courtyard, it had already caught up, overtaken them, and just begun to ride off into the sunset. My gameplay is honestly pretty weak here. I once watched a gamer better than me using this weapon clear Mayhem 10 Melee 1 takedown in 2 minutes and 36 seconds. Do you understand how unfathomably fast that is for a full clear of Melee 1 takedown? Number 1, the Unkempt Harold. The Unkempt Harold woke up, skipped violence, and went straight to war crimes. Said, it's not a crime the first time, only to do it again for the love of the game. It's offensively strong, and easy to use to boot. No hassle, no fuss, just a handheld cannon of fuck you. Get the ×3 variant, not the ×4 variant, and away you go. Playing as Flak, Mara, Murs, or Zane, doesn't matter. It's top tier on them all. Nothing situational about it. While it might not be the absolute best in specific scenarios, it's always there, right behind it, winning through consistency. Oh, and if you believe it doesn't have the peaks of other weapons on this list and undeserving of this spot, here's True Hagger Fervor, a combined health of 48 billion. Was True Hagger Fervor. It's not anymore. And that wraps it up. Thank you very much for watching if you made it this far. It really does mean a lot. I put a lot of work into this video. It's about 50 hours or so. Now, as always, I wanted to do more, but just limited on time constraints between now and the launch of Borderlands 4. Like, I wanted to do intro, like, item cards for every single item and whatnot. There's always more that you want to do with videos like this, but it just gets to a point where it's just taking way too long. So this is what I've got. If there are any like editing mistakes, like numbers in the wrong order, I did do a lot of shuffling around during post, so I do apologize for that, but yeah, I put a lot of work into this video, so if you could do all the algorithm stuff, you know, liking and sharing and all that, it would really mean a lot to me. Now, if you're watching this as the video comes out, then I might be live over on my Twitch channel doing the hunt for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, so be sure to swing by and check that out. And if you're watching this in the future, then, well, I could be over there playing Borderlands 4, so yeah, I hope to see you there. Yeah, thank you very, very much for watching, really does mean a lot, and I'll have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.